Hello sailors and welcome to your next Sail Smart video. This week we're talking about parts of the boat and their names. Now you and I know that sailors cannot help themselves but give a funny name to a thing that's probably already got a name. Unfortunately, sailors have done it for years and all the different parts of a boat have got funny names and you and I need to get to grips with them so when someone tells us what to do on the water, we know what they're talking about. I've got my boat ready. Let's talk about some different bits. The first thing I'd like to talk about is a group of things that we call the foils. So, the first foil is the rudder, and the second foil is the daggerboard. And the foils are the bits that go down into the water. Now a rudder, this whole part here, I would say is the rudder, and it helps us steer, but there's several different parts. This silver part here is called the blade. This black part is called the stock. This tube is the tiller, and this extension of the tube, the tiller extension. And it's this part here that we hold. So when you're rigging your rudder, it's really important that your tiller goes under your horse. And that's so that it can move from side to side without being interrupted. When you get deeper in the water, you're going to want to put your rudder down. And you can do that by pushing it, but also with this rope here called the rudder downhaul. And if I pull this, the rudder will go down. Pop it into my cleat and it will stay down. The next foil is the daggerboard, and this largely helps us go upwind and keep in a straight line. We know this is a daggerboard because it's going to go straight up and straight down. Some other boats might have it pivot, so it pivots back and it pivots down, and that would be called a centerboard. If you're really good and a centerboard is made of metal, I would call that a center plate. So, group number 2, and this group is called the spars, and this basically means the poles. So, these are very big parts of the boat. One is here, it goes all the way to the top, and that pole is the mast. The second pole is right here, it goes along the boat, and that is the boom. The mast is there so it can hold the sail up, and the boom is here so it can hold the sail out. There is something that connects the boom and the mast together, and that thing is called the gooseneck. On some boats, there's like a weird needle that sticks out of the mast, and then there's a hole in the boom. And you put the two together, and that will hold your boom onto your mast. On this boat, we've got a different type of gooseneck, and it just pushes and clips on, a bit like this. My favourite spar actually isn't on this boat, and you tend to see it on boats that's slightly bigger, and it's called a bumpkin. A bumpkin is a pole that's normally at the back of a boat pointing out the back for another sail to be attached to. Why is it my favourite? Because it's a silly word. Bumpkin. Right team, number 3. Now we're going to get onto the sail. Now our boat here has only got one sail, and so we call it the main sail. A lot of boats that we sail nowadays will have a second sail at the front, and that's called a jib. But the bits I'm going to tell you are exactly the same. So we need to know edges, we need to know corners, and then maybe 1 or 2 fine-tuning points after that. So the top corner, that's going to be called the head of the sail. The front corner of the sail, we're going to call that the tack. And then we've got the back corner of the sail called the clew. And that would be the same on a jib. Head, tack's at the front, clew is at the back. Now let's talk edges. This front edge that goes up the mast, we call that the luff. And you might have heard that before. If people will tell you, you're luffing. If the front edge is flapping, that's luffing. The back is called the leech, and the bottom is called the foot. Luff, leech, foot. Couple of extra things you might find on your sail. Let's go right back up to the top, and there's that funny yellow bag, and that's a masthead float. Just in case your boat tips over, the air in that bag slows it down or stops it going upside down. We've also got some sticks here in the sail, and those are called sail battens. These sticks go up and down, and that's so that we can wrap the sail up. but most sticks will actually go side to side. They're all still sail battens. Right then, let's move on, and now we're talking about ropes that control the boat. We've got one rope that is really important, and that is the main sheet. On this boat, it's the orange rope which is attached to the boom. You see it goes up down here all the way to the end, and it does go up and down at the back as well. And that's what controls the sail from in and out. It's the main control, so it's the main sheet. Obviously, our boat is sat on a trolley, so we can move it around. We've got a handle here to hold on to, and this rope that we've tied onto the trolley at the front of the boat is called the painter. Obviously, we don't go on the water without my water bottle. In the middle here, we've got a tow strap, and that's so that we can sit on the side, lean out without falling out. So, something you might see in boat parks is all the little flags on top of the mast, and those are called burgees, and they come in a few different ways. We know about the flag on the top of the mast. You can get them like this on the top of the mast, or I've got one here on the front of my mast. It's here, and this will just spin to tell me which way the wind is coming from when I'm sailing about on the water. Very handy. The next thing we're going to talk about is the elephant in the room. The hull. The big bit that floats is called the hull. Now then, the left side, you might remember, is called port. The right side of the boat, starboard. The back of the boat, the stern, and the front of the boat, the bow. A part of the boat that is so often forgotten is the bung. This little nub in here is actually a hole to the inside of your boat. And if you don't put the bung in, it will fill up with water. You probably won't sink, but you'll go very, very slow. So avoid embarrassing moments. Always check your bungs in. Good job, sailors. Now those are the main names and parts of a sailing boat. It's time for you to get active and see what you can remember. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you soon for another Sail Smart video. All the best.